الرحيم وأوفوا بعهد الله إذا عاهدتم ولا تنقضوا الأيمان بعد توكيدها وقد جعلتم الله عليكم كفيلا إن الله يعلم ما تفعلون ولا تكونوا كالتي نقضت غزلها من بعد قوة أنكاثا تتخذون أيمانكم دخلا بينكم أن تكون أمة هي أربى من أمة إنما يبلوكم الله به وليبينن لكم يوم القيامة ما كنتم فيه تختلفون. Today, inshallah, we're going to be doing Ayah 91 and 92 of Surah An-Nahl. And last week, we talked about a verse of the Quran which was very, very deep in its meaning. A very simple verse, one verse, but it covered so many things. Today is also something which is very deep in terms of the ahkam and the rules and regulations that we can derive from these two verses. So, and this is generally related to the ahad, the contracts, the agreements that we have. So there are three types of agreements. From one perspective, from the perspective that I want to explain today, and they are that an agreement between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a person becomes a believer, and he starts believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he professes Iman, he says La ilaha illallah, then he has an agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why the disbelievers, the kuffar of Quraysh, they understood that La ilaha illallah simply wasn't just to say La ilaha illallah and they would become Muslim and that would be sufficient. Rather, the understanding was that there is something behind these words that we need to implement, and that is something that is not possible for us. So this is the amana, that the ahad that we have, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has termed as an amana in another place in the Quran. Inna aradna al-amanata ala samawati wal ardi wal jibali fa abayna an yahmilaha wa ashfaqna minha wa hamalaha al-insan. We presented the amana to everything, the mountains, the trees, the skies, but they all refused to take up this amana. This amana was to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to fulfill the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the hope that they will be saved from the punishment of the hereafter and be rewarded in the hereafter. But all of these creations, the mountains, the trees, the skies, they refused, and they said, we prefer to just live in this world, and then we prefer not to have any hereafter. We don't want to risk it. But the human being took up this amana and took the risk of this amana and this responsibility and this understanding and this agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and some fulfill it and some do not fulfill it. So the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in this verse is to complete the responsibility and the agreement that a person has with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah says, وَأَوْفُوا بِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ إِذَا عَاهَدْتُمْ. Complete the agreement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once you have made that agreement. Once you've said La ilaha illallah, then complete that agreement, complete that understanding, and don't waver from it. This command is specifically for the Muslims, because the non-Muslims are not obligated to do anything, okay? Because if they have not accepted Iman, then there is no further responsibility upon them, because simply because of their disbelief and their kufr, they will have no form of salvation in the hereafter. So the concept of doing good and obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes null and void and irrelevant. So this command of fulfilling the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is specifically for the believers. And that is why whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands people to do something in the Quran, what does He start with? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. O people of Iman, who people who have expressed Iman, O people who have proclaimed Iman, do this and don't do this. Now, a person should think to himself that this command that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me and these rulings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has implemented upon me, these are for my own benefit. These are for my own benefit and also for the benefit of the society in general. For example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me to lower my gaze and when I see a non-mahram female, then that means that also that command is for other people, for them not to look at my sister, for them not to look at my wife, for them not to look at my daughter, for them not to look at my mother. So this command of Ghaddul Basar, it protects my sisters and my own family too. It is not just a restriction on me, it is a restriction on everybody. Similarly, the command for stealing. A person thinks that, okay, why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevent me from stealing? If I can steal a whole bunch of jewels or a whole bunch of money, I can, enjoy my life for a little bit. But the reality is that same command of not stealing is for everybody else, and I am also protected from that command. So this responsibility and the contract that we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is actually for the benefit of society. It is for the preservation of society. And it is for the good of society. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَوْفُوا بِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ إِذَا عَاهَدْتُمْ. Complete the ahd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once you have made that contract. Complete the agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once you have made that agreement. وَلَا تَنْقُضُوا الْأَيْمَانَ بَعْدَ تَوْكِيدِهَا وَقَدْ جَعَلْتُمُ اللَّهَ عَلَيْكُمْ كَفِيلًا. The second category is when we make agreements with each other and we swear and take an oath, take a qasam in between while making that agreement. This is a very dangerous situation to be in when a person takes an oath and then he doesn't purposefully fulfill it. This is important to keep in mind. Why? Because when a person takes an oath, he is actually making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a witness for that thing that he is doing. When a person says that I swear by Allah I didn't do it, or I swear by Allah I did it, then he is saying that Allah is my witness. Allah saw me that I didn't do it. Allah saw me that I didn't do it. I did it, I didn't do it. Allah was witnessing me. So when I'm saying that, then this is actually a false accusation against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if I'm lying. That's why it's so dangerous to take an oath. And especially for the past tense, some scholars actually go as far as to say, when a person takes an oath about the past tense, this is something that there is no kafara for it. This is known as al-yaminul ghamus. Al-yaminul ghamus, and it's from the word ghams in Arabic, which means when a person, he dives into water and he is completely submerged in water. And a person, when he takes al-yaminul ghamus, he is basically submerging himself in sin from head to toe. That's how dangerous taking oaths is, and a person taking an oath lying on purpose. And now for the future, if a person is taking an oath, he needs to try to fulfill it as much as possible. And if he cannot, for some reason, if he is not able to, he took an oath that is completely impossible. A person, for example, says, I swear by Allah, I'm going to fly in the air. It's completely impossible to do. So in this situation, he has to pay a kafara. The kafara is إِطْعَامُ عَشْرَةِ مَسَاكِينَ أَوْ كِسْوَتُهُمْ. Feeding 10 poor people, or clothing them, or fasting for 3 days. Fasting for 3 days continuously, or feeding or clothing 10 people. So this is the kafara of the yameen when a person, he needs to break an oath and he cannot fulfill that oath. Sometimes a person takes an oath that is against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says to a Muslim brother, or he says to his wife, for example, I swear to God, I swear by Allah, I'm never going to talk to you again. Now this is something that's haram. To break relationships with your brother, you have to break your oath and pay the kafara. That is the way out of it. Okay? Otherwise, the responsibility upon fulfilling the oath is very, very important, and we need to fulfill that oath. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَنْقُضُوا الْأَيْمَانَ بَعْدَ تَوْكِيدِهَا وَقَدْ جَعَلْتُمُ اللَّهَ عَلَيْكُمْ كَفِيلًا. Do not break the ayman. Ayman is the plural of yameen, which means the qasam, the oaths, after strengthening them, after fortifying them, after taking the oath, which means, okay, so do not break the oath after taking the oaths. وَقَدْ جَعَلْتُمُ اللَّهَ عَلَيْكُمْ كَفِيلًا, while you have made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon yourself kafil, meaning you have given Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the responsibility of vouching for you. Kafil is the person who takes care of you, your sponsor. This word kafil is used in the Middle East a lot. When a kafil, somebody sponsors you to get you a visa into these Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, your kafil is basically responsible for paying your salary and your health care and so on. So in this context, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you have made kafil, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a kafil. You have made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responsible for you, meaning that you have said that He is your witness. وَقَدْ جَعَلْتُمُ اللَّهَ عَلَيْكُمْ كَفِيلًا. So once you've done that, then this is a very dangerous situation, that you have put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the spot, and you have put Him in between you and the fulfillment of that oath. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows whatever you're doing. And you have this throughout the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah is aware of what the disbelievers are doing. Allah is aware of what the munafiqeen are doing. Allah is aware of what you are doing. Allah is watching what you are doing. So it's not that He simply knows. What it means is, He knows, and there will be consequences for it. There will be punishment for it. There will be accountability for it on the Day of Judgment. After that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then goes on to talk about regular agreements that we have between us. And this is important to keep in mind. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ayatul munafiqi thalath. There are three signs of a munafiq. إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبْ وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفْ وَإِذَا اؤْتُمِنَ خَانَ. When the munafiq, he speaks, he lies. When he is given a trust, he breaks the trust. And when he makes a promise, he breaks that promise. These are the three signs of a hypocrite. And these are the things basically that we have amongst us. Agreements, promises, and understandings that we have between us. These are the things that contribute to the good and the stability of a society. If everybody was cheating each other, everybody was breaking contracts, breaking agreements, breaking promises, then obviously there will be widespread corruption on the earth. If a person is given a loan, he doesn't pay back. Difficulty for the family, for the person that gave him the loan. Business agreements, people make those agreements, sometimes verbally, which is actually not a wise idea, against what Islam teaches, and then they break the agreement. One person runs away with the money, or cheats the other, and so on. There are so many things that we see all around us. The stability of society is based upon this very small but important principle: to fulfill the agreements that we have with each other, to fulfill the promises that we have with each other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّتِي نَقَضَتْ غَزْلَهَا مِنْ بَعْدِ قُوَّةٍ أَنْكَاثًا. Before that, actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about a woman whose name was Rayta, and she was a woman who used to spin cloth, or she used to spin cloth as threads or cotton and make it into cloth. And after making and spinning the cloth, and it's basically made into a ball of some sort. It's collected. What did she used to do? She used to take it and rip it all apart again. So, say for example, I don't know, many of you, in the old days, women used to knit sweaters, right? You know, my grandma, she used to do that. My aunt used to do that. So they used to knit sweaters, and it's a very hard procedure. It's a very hard process to do, to knit a sweater, a scarf, clothing. And say, for example, halfway through, the woman decides, okay, this work that I've been doing for the past 3, 4, 5 months, I'm just going to rip it up. So she takes one end of the thread and she just starts pulling it all apart again. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving this example. Don't be like that woman who broke her spun cloth. Don't be like that woman. This is basically the example of those people that make the promises, then they break the promises. Okay, it's a very hard thing to make a promise. It's not easy. It's not something that should be taken lightly. But after you break the promise, you've basically broke up everything. So this is again why this is an example that Allah is giving, that a person is just breaking up his good deeds, breaking up his deen, breaking up society by being like this woman who puts so much effort into making something and ultimately breaking everything up. And again, this is part of one's character, that once a person breaks one promise and words gets around in the community that this person, he made a business transaction with me and he broke that transaction. He cheated me. He cheated me on my money. He borrowed money from me. He didn't give it back to me. Once the word gets around, then basically the person's reputation in society is destroyed in one instant. So this is the example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave by telling us that it's just like that woman who goes to all that effort to spin the cloth and then ultimately she breaks everything up. So do not be like that one. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّتِي نَقَضَتْ غَزْلَهَا مِنْ بَعْدِ قُوَّةٍ أَنْكَاثًا. Do not be like that woman who broke her ghazl. Ghazl means the spun cloth. مِنْ بَعْدِ قُوَّةٍ. After so much strength, after so much effort has been put into it. Ankatha meaning the fabrics, breaking up the fabrics of that particular cloth. تَتَّخِذُونَ أَيْمَانَكُمْ دَخَلًا بَيْنَكُمْ أَن تَكُونَ أُمَّةٌ هِيَ أَرْبَى مِنْ أُمَّةٍ. You make your oaths as a dakhal between yourselves, okay, so that one nation can be more profitable than the other one. What does that mean? This word dakhal, it has a few meanings. Firstly, dakhal means, one meaning is disturbance. That you make your oaths as a disturbance between yourselves. So you take an oath and it's a lie. I swear by God, I swear by Allah that I bought this for $50 and I'm selling it to you for just a little bit of a profit. I'm hardly making a profit on this thing that I'm selling you. So taking an oath, false oath, it creates a disturbance in society. So this is one meaning, that you make your oaths as a disturbance in society. The other meaning is that it is an earning. So you make your oaths as a mean of your earnings. So you take oaths and you make it as a means of making profit. Okay, you take an oath to make the person believe that you're just making a little bit of money on top just to get the sale. So dakhal can also mean earnings. And the third meaning is that you make your oaths dakhalan bainakum. Dakhal means to enter something into something else. So you have some gold and you mix some, fake gold inside that to sell it or make it heavier. You have milk and you mix water with it to make it more. The Prophet ﷺ once went by a person who was selling grain and he dipped his hand inside the grain and inside it was wet. So the Prophet ﷺ became very upset. So he said that, why did you make this wet? So he said that it rained and it made it wet. The Prophet ﷺ said that this is not appropriate. that this grain is wet and you're selling it with the added weight of the liquid to make it more heavier. So this is a form of dakhal. You're adding the water to the wheat to make it heavy. So you are making your iman and putting a dakhal, entering these things into the commodity that you're selling. So that an takuna ummatun hiya arba min ummah, so that one of you can make more profit than the other. You can make more money than the other. Okay, so basically in those days there was a lot of bartering that used to take place. Bartering meaning not money for goods, rather goods for goods. Okay, so the person who sold his goods for more profit margin and he kind of cheated the other one out of his money, basically he made more profit. So this is what is meant here, so that one of you can be more profitable than the other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us, إِنَّمَا يَبْلُوكُمُ اللَّهُ بِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing you with this. So this is actually a very powerful statement from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah is testing you with this. Many people think that bala is just in difficulty. When a person is going through hardship, illness, loss of job, his house gets destroyed in a tornado or a hurricane or something like that, people think that this is bala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالْخَيْرِ وَالْشَرِّ فِتْنَةً. Khair and shar, both are a test for you. Both are a test for you. So a person, he opens a haram business, for example, selling alcohol, selling lottery tickets, or whatever that he's doing, and he sees the profits coming in. He sees money and his bank account getting filled up, and him buying a bigger house and a nice car. And he thinks that this is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reality is that Allah is testing you with it. And really, when a person is faced with that kind of test and examination from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, very few of us would pass it. Very few of us would pass it because of the fact that they see that money visually with their eyes coming in, and to let go of that, it becomes very, very difficult. So this is what is meant by إِنَّمَا يَبْلُوكُمُ اللَّهُ بِهِ. Allah is testing you through this wealth, through this profit, through this money. And really, the people that make a sacrifice and get rid of the haram and suffice on the little which is halal, they will see more khair and more barakah in their lives than they ever imagined. But this is, again, it requires strong iman to be able to give that up. إِنَّمَا يَبْلُوكُمُ اللَّهُ بِهِ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is testing you with this. And not only testing you, on the Day of Judgment, there's always going to be accountability. It's not just that Allah is just testing you in this world. وَلَيُبَيِّنَنَّ لَكُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ مَا كُنْتُمْ فِيهِ تَخْتَلِفُونَ. Most certainly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open for you on the Day of Judgment that thing in which you are disputing, meaning that everything that you did, this is halal. Person, Imam Sahib tells you, the Sheikh tells you it's haram, and you're saying, no, it's okay. It is a non-Muslim environment. I'm allowed to sell alcohol to non-Muslims. It's okay. There's no problem with it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will clarify for you on the Day of Judgment in that thing in which you are disputing and fighting over. So better to be prepared for that day by only engaging in halal, fulfilling our contracts, fulfilling our promises, not breaking agreements, giving and paying back our loans, keeping accountability with other people clean, so that we will have no accountability about this on the Day of Judgment. I'll finish by saying this, that the accountability that we have amongst ourselves, this is not something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives. Okay, huququl ibad, the rights of the fellow human being. This is not something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold us accountable for it, and people will take away our hasanat on the Day of Judgment. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asked the Sahaba, "Atadruna man al-muflis?" Do you know who is a muflis? Meaning a poor person. The Sahaba said, "Al-muflisu fina man la dinara lahu wa la dirham." The muflis amongst us is the person who doesn't have dinars or dirhams. Prophet ﷺ said, no, that's not what I mean. The muflis is the person who will come with mountains and mountains of good deeds on the day of judgment, and then people will come to him for accountability. This person, he borrowed money from me, he didn't return it. This person, he stole from me. This person, he slandered me. This person, he accused me. This person, he backbited about me. So all of that, all of these people will come and complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and his good deeds will be distributed, because that's the currency of the hereafter, right? There's no money there, so his good deeds are going to be distributed amongst those people that are going to be asking him. So his good deeds are going to finish, mountains of good deeds, and still there are people in line. And then after that, the bad deeds of those people are going to be put on his head. So he came with mountains of good deeds, and he ends up with mountains of bad deeds. This is when we do not keep our account clean, our dealings clean with our fellow human beings, our fellow brothers. It's always important to make sure that if we wrong anybody, we ask them for forgiveness in this world prior to meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, after which we cannot seek any forgiveness from anybody. So I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to understand and practice what has been said and heard.